spirituality. In the contemporary world, Kemet's faith tradition is slowly becoming the spirituality and philosophies of the modern world, particularly in the African world community. The following are the 42 laws of Ma'at. 1. I have not committed sin. 2. I have not committed robbery with violence. 3. I have not stolen. 4. I have not slain men or women. 5. I have not stolen food. 6. I have not swindled offerings. 7. I have not stolen from God Goddess. 8. I have not told lies. 9. I have not carried away food. 10. I have not cursed. 11. I have not closed my ears to truth. 12. I have not committed adultery. 13. I have not made anyone cry. 14. I have not felt sorrow without reason. 15. I have not assaulted anyone. 16. I am not deceitful. 17. I have not stolen anyone's land. 18. I have not been an eavesdropper. 19. I have not falsely accused anyone. 20. I have not been angry without reason. 21. I have not seduced anyone's wife. 22. I have not polluted myself. 23. I have not terrorized anyone. 24. I have not disobeyed the law. 25. I have not been exclusively angry. 26. I have not cursed God Goddess. 27. I have not behaved with violence. 28. I have not caused disruption of peace. 29. I have not acted hastily or without thought. 30. I have not overstepped my boundaries of concern. 31. I have not exaggerated my words when speaking. 32. I have not worked evil. 33. I have not used evil thoughts, words, or deeds, for I have not polluted the water. 35. I have not spoken angrily or arrogantly. 36. I have not cursed anyone in thought, word, or deeds. 37. I have not placed myself on a pedestal. 38. I have not stolen what belongs to God Goddess. 39. I have not stolen from or disrespected the deceased. 40. I have not taken food from a child. 41. I have not acted with insolence. 42. I have not destroyed property belonging to God Goddess. The 42 laws of Ma'at were discovered in ancient Kemet, Egypt, Africa's greatest high culture Nile Valley civilization. Scholars of Ma'at realize that Africa's 42 laws of Ma'at are the origins of the world's major religious, i.e., Judaism, Christianity, and Al-Islam, code of ethics and morals. The 42 laws of Ma'at existed thousands of years before Judaism, Christianity, and Al-Islam came into existence. In fact, many respected theologians, Egyptologists, and history scholars have written books presenting to humanity that the world's Western religions plagiarized Ma'at to develop their own versions of Jewish, Christian, and Islamic ethical and moral codes. Like many people that have exploited Africa of its people, land, treasures, and resources, so too were her religious traditions plundered. Unfortunately, the world's major religions did not give credit back to Africa for her helping them find their pathway to a code of ethics and morality. During slave trade of the European and Arab world, they had to justify the enslavement of black people in Africa by fabricating a myth that African culture and spirituality were subhuman, savage, uncivilized, satanic, and polytheistic. White supremacy and systemic racism made the world and us believe that African people had no concept of a one God or spirituality or any real code of ethics or morals. But nothing can further from the truth. According to Egyptologist Anthony Browder, Africa is the mother of world's major religions. In 1992, he published a phenomenal and groundbreaking history book on Kemet called Nile Valley Contributions to Civilization. Professor Browder writes on page 88 about the Pert M. Heru, the book coming forth by day. He says, there are a number of significant religious references which have emerged from the book of the coming forth by day. They include the conception of heaven, the soul of man going to heaven, the soul of man sitting on a throne by the side of God, the heavenly blessed eating from a tree of life, God molding man from clay, God breathing the breath of life into man's nostrils, the concept of creation through the spoken word, moral concepts of good and evil, and traditions of hell and hellfire. The Ten Commandments, Exodus 22-17 NKJV. 1. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. You shall have no other gods before me. 2. You shall not make for yourself a carved image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers on the children to the third and fourth generations of those who hate me, but showing mercy to thousands, to those who love me and keep my commandments. 3. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless who takes his name in vain. 4. Remember the Sabbath day, to keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord your God. In it you shall do no work, you, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your male servant, nor your female servant, nor your cattle, nor your stranger who is within your gates. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea, and all that is in them, and rested the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. 5. Honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long upon the land which the Lord your God is giving you. 6. You shall not murder. 7. You shall not commit adultery. 8. You shall not steal. 9. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. 10. You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, nor his male servant, nor his female servant, nor his ox, nor his donkey, nor anything that is your neighbor's. If you compare the 10 Commandments with the 42 laws of Ma'at, you can clearly see similarities between the two. In another part of the book, Nile Valley Contribution to Civilization, Egyptologist Dr. Browder writes on page 92, by conservative estimates, the 42 declarations of Ma'at were written approximately 1,500 years before the writing of the 10 Commandments. By comparing the two documents, one will find striking comparisons. The following list reflects the numbering most commonly used in English language references to the 10 Commandments, and those which are similar to the declarations, Ma'at, are highlighted by parentheses. 1. I am the Lord thy God. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. 41:2. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven images. 3. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. 7:41. 4. Remember the Sabbath day, to keep it holy. 5. Honor thy father and mother. 1:12-28. 6. Thou shalt not kill. 4. 7. Thou shalt not commit adultery. 11:20-21. 8. Thou shalt not steal. 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 9. 9. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. 8, 13, 18, 29. 10. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house or wife. 13, 20, 21, 29, 33. The late Dr. Yosef A. Ben Jochanan, one of the world's most respected African Egyptologists, documented the Kemetic origins of the 10 Commandments, coming from the Purdam Heru, the book coming forth by day. In his pioneering book titled African Origins of the Major Western Religions, Dr. Jochanan writes on page 11, the 10 Commandments spoken of in each of the so-called Western religions, moral code of ethics, are based upon extensions of philosophical developments by the indigenous Africans, the so-called Negroes and Bantus, of the Nile Valley civilizations from pre-recorded history. The laws that say, thou shalt not kill, etc., and thou shalt not steal, etc., were used in Egypt, Thais, and Ethiopia, Cush or Cush, thousands of years before the birth of Moses of the Hebrew Jewish Torah. Yet these two laws, including all of the other 10 that make up so-called Western religions' basic moral codes, are still being taught as if the first time they ever came to the knowledge of mankind was when they were allegedly given to Moses on Mount Sinai. At least, this is the manner in which they are presently taught in Europe, the Americans, and wherever Europeans and European-American religious and economic controls are in evidence. Dr. Jochanan's analysis of Kemetic spirituality and Ma'at being discredited by the white and Arab world is right on point. He speaks to the white supremacy and systemic racism continually perpetuated by non-black people. We see that in a book like General History Collections, Types of Mankind, or Ethnological Researches, illustrated by selections from the inedited papers of S.G. Morton, and by additional contributions from L. Agassiz, W. Usher, H.S. Patterson, co-authored by two white men named Dr. Josiah Clark Knott and Dr. George Robbins Glidden. This book first published in 1854. Knott and Glidden fabricated beliefs and racial myths that whites were born genetically superior to black people, would not allow them to accept the facts on Kemet, Egypt being a black civilization. They argued on page 461 in their book The Greatness of Kemet's Egypt Civilization. But that greatness was because of whiteness. They said, the earliest civilization known to us is that of Egypt, and from this foundation, it is commonly said, all more modern civilizations derived. From Egypt, the stream is supposed to have flowed steadily on through Assyria, Palestine, Tyre, Persia, Greece, Rome, Gaul, Germany, Spain, Britain, until it crossed the Atlantic to our federal union. These two white supremacist scholars argued that the great Egypt, Kemet, of the ancient world was a white civilization, not a black civilization. But on the very next page of 462 of their book, Josiah Knott supports his racism by quoting another white racist historian named Theodore Parker in the text to justify Kemet's, Egypt's, whiteness and the racial supremacy of white people. He writes, the Caucasian race differs from all other races. He is humane, he is civilized, and progresses. He conquers with his head as well as with his hand. It is intellect, after all, that conquers, not the strength of a man's arm. The Caucasian has been often master of the other races, never their slave. He has carried his religion to other races, but never taken theirs. In history, all religions are of Caucasian origin. All the great limited forms of monarchies are Caucasian. Republics are Caucasian. All the great sciences are of Caucasian origin. All inventions are Caucasian. Literature and romance come of the same stock. All the great poets are of Caucasian origin. Moses, Luther, Jesus Christ, Zoroaster, Buddha, Pythagoras were Caucasian. No other race can bring up to memory such celebrated names as the Caucasian race. To the Caucasian race belong the Arabian, Persian, Hebrew, Egyptian, and all the European nations are descendants of the Caucasian race. But whatever the case may be, in this day and time we have the 42 laws of Ma'at translated for us to study and incorporate into our daily lives. Many of us that are African-centered struggle to help our people and the world understand that Ma'at is Africa's original set of ethics and moral principles. Ma'at is amazingly simple to understand family. Unfortunately, we as human beings make it difficult to know, understand, and follow. I am one of many African-centered Black people that incorporates Ma'at into my daily life. Every day, I read, study, and mediate on Ma'at. It gives me peace and challenges me to live in balance with the Creator and nature. I have even made some of the principles of Ma'at my morning and nightly affirmations. The two books that I use to develop my spiritual and philosophical conscious understanding of Ma'at are written by Dr. Maulana Karenga and Dr. Rukti Amin. They both can read and translate Medu Neter. Dr. Rukti Amin studied Kemetic Egyptian hieroglyphs in a PhD program at the University of Chicago, Oriental Institute, Department of Near Eastern Studies. She's a founding member of ASCAC, Association for the Study of Classical African Civilizations. The organization called ASCAC was also founded by Drs. John Henrik Clark, Dr. Jacob Caruthers, Dr. Maulana Karenga, and Dr. Yosef A. Ben Jokanan in 1984. Dr. Amen is a co-founder of Chicago, Illinois' Kemetic Institute and the Kemetic Temple. She is fluent in Medu Neter, English, Chinese, French, German, and Hebrew. She lectures all over the world. Dr. Amen has published many books on Kemetic spirituality and Medu Neter. However, my favorite book of hers is called A Life-Centered Life Living Ma'at. Her book is outstanding. Dr. Amen explains the definition of the words and the symbols in Medu Neter and the meaning of Ma'at. Dr. Amen breaks down Ma'at's importance to the equal balancing of men and women in all things on earth and in the hereafter. But according to Ma'at, as interpreted by Dr. Amen, it is equally important to understand that in Kemetic spirituality, the Creator is always represented by the male and female principle. In her book, A Life-Centered Life Living Ma'at, Dr. Amen writes, Ma'at is symbolized by a woman wearing a wing feather of a male ostrich on her head, and sometimes by the feather alone. There are then two main aspects of this symbol, a female and a male aspect. In a famous relief from Kemet, which depicts the Day of Judgment at the end of a person's life, Ma'at is shown placed on a scale and weighed against one's AB, person's consciousness. The Ma'at feather in this representation symbolizes balance and harmony, depicted by female and male combined. The scene also implies that one's consciousness should be light as a feather. The color white of the feather symbolizes light and pureness. The fact that Ma'at is both male and female is highly significant. The female is the one who nourishes the young, the caregiver, the mediator, harmonizer in the family, the first teacher of Ma'at to the young. The female is a natural embodiment of Ma'at in the sense of caring for, nourishing, mediating, and harmonizing in the family, the community, and the nation. The male ostrich wing feather combined with the female represents balance and harmony. Dr. Maulana Karenga is the creator of the Kawaida philosophy. He is a professor of Black Studies at California State University at Long Beach. Dr. Karenga also co-founded the US organization, a revolutionary cultural nationalist Black Power movement established on September 7, 1965, in Los Angeles, California. He is also a founder of ASCAC. Kawaida is a Kiswahili word meaning tradition and reason. It is pronounced as Kawaida. Dr. Karenga defines Kawaida as a communitarian African philosophy created in the context of the African American liberation struggle and developed as an ongoing synthesis of the best of African thought and practice in constant exchange with the world. Kawaida is the foundation for Kwanzaa, a Pan-African centered holiday celebrated from December 26th to January 1st all over the world. The philosophy of Kawaida is largely responsible for the 1972 National Black Political Convention in Gary, Indiana, the increase of Black elected officials in America, and the seizure of Black political power in Newark, NJ. Dr. Karenga has published many books on African history and culture. The most important book he has published on Kemet spirituality to this date is called The Selections from the Huzia, Sacred Wisdom of Ancient Egypt. The 42 Laws of Ma'at are translated into English in the Huzia. Whenever I finish reading and meditating on Ma'at, I read also from the Huzia the following passages from the Midu Neder. Our ancestors instruct us after living Ma'at, we must turn to the Creator to recite them. In the Huzia, on page 111 to 112, Midu Neder says that our ancestors wrote, I live on Ma'at, I satisfy myself with the righteousness of my heart. For I have done that which men and women request, and that which pleases God. I have found favor with God by doing that which he loves. I have given bread to the hungry, water to the thirsty, clothes to the naked, and a boat to those without one. I have made due offerings to God, and funeral offerings to the departed. Deliver me then, and protect me. Make no report against me in the presence of the great God. For I am one whose mouth is pure, and whose hands are clean. Therefore, let it be said to me, welcome, come in peace, by those who shall see me. In America, there are a growing number of Kemetic temples being established in the African-American community to provide alternatives to the faith traditions of the major religions in the Western world. They are dedicated to the practice of Kemetic spirituality and Ma'at, such as the Temple of Anu in Newark, NJ, the Shrine of Ma'at in Harlem, NYC, the Kemetic Temple in Chicago, Illinois, and the Alsar Auset Society, headquartered in Brooklyn, NYC. The Alsar Auset Society has chapters in several major cities in the United States, as well as international chapters in London, England, Toronto, Canada, Bermuda, and Trinidad and Tobago. In summation, the 42 Laws of Ma'at are the oldest moral and ethical codes in the world. Hundreds of thousands of people on the planet Earth either follow or study its spiritual and philosophical path, particularly African people. If Ma'at is applied correctly in society, it could be the basis for revolutionary change in the African world community and in humanity. Hotep Medu Neder for peace.